So per the flight program to the ISS, we are starting our press conference. We have the primary and the backup crews here, expeditions 33 and 34. The backup crew is here, and the primary crew is here. The primary crew is made up of Oleg Novitsky, who is commander of the Soyuz vehicle, and who is going to be flight engineer of the ISS. Evgeny Tarelkin, who is flight engineer of the Soyuz vehicle, flight engineer of the space station. And Kevin Ford, who is flight engineer 2 of the Soyuz vehicle, who is flight engineer of ISS 33 and commander of ISS 34, and who is a NASA astronaut. And here are the backup crew members. Pavel Vinogradov, who is the commander of the Soyuz vehicle, who is going to be flight engineer of the ISS. Alexander Misurkin, who is a flight engineer of the Soyuz vehicle and flight engineer of the ISS. And Chris Cassidy, who is a flight engineer 2 of the Soyuz vehicle and flight engineer of the ISS. And Sergei Krikolov is the chief of the GCC training center. As you probably know, the Commission has made its final conclusion, its decision. The decision was very positive. The preparation of the primary and the backup crews is excellent. And the crews were recommended for launch as a result of the exams. They're going to continue their preparation at the Baikonur Cosmodrome and become finally ready for launch. Maybe you have any questions. I'm ready to take them. The most important thing is that everything is going nominally. The launch is now set to occur on October 23rd, and the crews have now got a small window. If you remember the previous crews, the last several weeks prior to launch were very intensive, were very packed. But right now we have a small window, so the crews will have an opportunity to relax a bit, probably to refresh their knowledge, the data, and be fully ready for launch, because normally always lack a day or two. The ITRTAS agency. First of all, congratulations to the primary backup crews with the excellent results of the exams. And the traditional question to the primary crew: what's your talisman? What's your mascot? And what are you going to take with you to the station? Maybe some personal items, some souvenirs, things from family or friends. Okay, let's start with the mascot. Our weightlessness indicator will be a small hippopotamus, a hippo. Why a hippo? Probably because that's how our kids view us. You've probably all watched a movie called Officers, and the protagonist's grandkid had a hobby. He liked to go to the zoo and to observe hippos. So this dream is coming true. So now we'll be watching the hippo for 2 days, one in the Soyuz vehicle. But if I'm serious, this is probably again how our kids view us. We're big, we're huge, we're very kind. As regards our call sign, it's Kazbek. We chose it because this is one of the major mounts that is over 5,000 meters high, And also probably because the number of our expedition is 33, and the height of this mountain is 5,033 meters. So it's kind of symbolic, 3 and 3. And what was the other question? What are you going to take with you, all of you? Any personal items? I don't think anything is special. Whichever is allowed to be taken. Souvenirs, maybe certain kids' items, whatever our family and friends asked us to take. That's probably it. Let the other crew members answer these questions too. Well, personal items are called personal items because they're personal. It's something very important to us that we care about, that is dear to us. Photos of family and friends from our comrades, something that will remind us about the things that we hold dear. And the rest, the masks and the call sign is the same.
And for me personally, I'll also take just a few things to remind me of my home state and my home schools. And one of the things from my home state is a small race car that represents the Indianapolis 500, which is very near where I grew up.
Я также возьму с собой некоторые вещи, которые будут мне напоминать о том месте, где я вырос, о моем доме. Я также возьму с собой маленькую гоночную машинку, которая будет напоминать мне о гонках, которые проводились в моем родном городе.
And of course, just a few photographs and some personal things for a few friends and some family members as well.
Ну и также я возьму с собой несколько фотографий моих друзей и членов семьи.
Next question, please. This is a rare novelty.
Ну, я надеюсь, добрые традиции вести космические блоги.
It's been a good tradition for some time now to have a blog in space. This helps people on Earth to understand why space activities are needed. Lots of cosmonauts have been doing this very successfully. Do you have any plans to have a blog in orbit, besides taking pictures and videos? Thank you. Yes, we have such intentions. We do believe it's very necessary to have a blog and to show people on the ground what tasks are set for cosmonauts, what they're doing up in space. So we'll try to do whatever we can to share with this experience. This is what the commander said for himself. What about the other crew members? Yes, sure. Well, but we first need to do our most important work, our tasks, and then if we have time, yes, of course. So we'll see. We have this wish to conduct a blog, because I think it's very important to popularize space and space facts.
Days are very busy and things change really rapidly. And it's easy if you have a spacewalk this week to forget about, say, a very important robotic operation from the previous week. So writing things down, of course, is a very good idea.
От предыдущих членов экипажа я слышал, что дни на Международной космической станции полны различных задач. Конечно, иногда очень полезно записывать вещи, которые происходят, особенно если приходилось работать с манипулятором, а на следующей неделе выполнять выход в открытый космос.
So my hope is to make some personal notes every single night of the expedition to myself for record keeping, and they'll be used for technical debriefs too, so that we can share with the ground crews what we've learned in orbit and we don't forget anything.
Что касается меня, то я каждую ночь планирую делать некоторые записи, касаемо проведенных за день работ, что поможет мне в дальнейшем послеполетном разборе, а также будет полезно, возможно, для членов экипажа, которые собираются совершить космический полет.
And then if opportunity presents, there's free time on weekends, I'll send down something for the general public, a nice log about what we've done, share some of my favorite pictures, and say some stories and events about the week.
И также по выходным, возможно, когда у меня будет свободное время, я буду отправлять на Землю некоторые интересные фотографии, либо мои записи, которые отражают работу на Международной космической станции. Спасибо.
Екатерина Белоглазова, российский космос. Вы представляете
Российский космос.
молодое, новое поколение.
You represent probably not the young, but a newer generation of cosmonauts. Why decide to switch your main job and to become cosmonauts?
И помогла ли она вам вот на этом?
And also wondering whether the preparation that you had at GCC helped you on this way. Let's start with our childhood. As a kid, I didn't really wish or dream of becoming a cosmonaut. I wanted to go into the military, a pilot. But it turned out that my school had the name of Gagarin, and then my military school was also named after Gagarin, so probably fate was directing me onto the path of becoming a cosmonaut. And then later on, as I became an instructor at GCTC, also I was dealing with cosmonauts all the time. And I thought that, yes, I'll probably be of more use if I became a cosmonaut myself. So I wrote a paper and became part of the cosmonaut corps. That's how it happened with me. Well, I wouldn't really agree with the statement that we switched jobs. It's more like a continuation. We can only reach a good point, a good level, only when you've had enough experience. So I think it's only a natural transition from being a pilot to becoming a cosmonaut. It's more like a new quality, another level. So how did you become an astronaut?
Конечно, я старее поколения.
I tried to, that was my wish.
Старше.
But I'm not of the same generation, I'm 10 years older than these guys.
I just always
But yes.
aviation. I wanted to study airplanes and flying machines in the university.
В университете я занимался изучением авиации. Я получал удовольствие от изучения космической техники и космических аппаратов.
And I took my first ride in an airplane when I was about 13 or 14 years old, and that's just what I decided. I wanted to make my career to be an aviator, and then, bit by bit, I went from being a pilot in the VVS on to being a test pilot, and then the next step available to me was to be an astronaut.
Первый раз я полетела на самолете, когда мне было 13 или 14 лет. Именно с того времени я начал мечтать о том, чтобы стать летчиком. И позже я связала свою карьеру именно с летной деятельностью. Я поступил в ВВС, я также закончил школу летчиков-испытателей, и шаг за шагом я приближался к тому, чтобы стать космонавтом.
So, and just, as a small boy, I didn't really dream that it was possible to be an astronaut or cosmonaut, but I just was able to get here through my aviation career track, so I feel very, very lucky.
Будучи маленьким мальчиком, я абсолютно даже не мечтала о том, чтобы стать космонавтом. Просто я работал летчиком, я служил в авиации и постепенно приближался к этому. И я чувствую себя очень счастливым от того, что я сейчас именно в этой должности. Спасибо.
Thank you. Next question, please. What are you expecting from your first flight? This is a question to Oleg and Evgeny. That's a good question. Probably the main thing is the excitement, the new feelings, and the ability to perform all those maneuvers, and to be able to take a look of Earth from the space vehicle. That's probably the most exciting, the most the thing I'm really looking forward to. I think I'll second Oleg in what he said. Right now, what I'm expecting is I'm looking forward to meeting the crew which are currently on board. I'm looking forward to performing all the duties, all the tasks, because that's something we were prepared for, that we've been taught to do, and we are fully confident we'll be able to do everything. But it's a hard job, because being a cosmonaut is not an easy thing. What experiments are we looking forward to? What's the most enjoyable thing for you? Well, I don't think I can say what experiment is of most interest to me. I think all of them are interesting and necessary. They're necessary, at least from the point of view that what we're doing today is something that will help our children in future. I personally just divide all the experiments into several groups, like scientific experiments, medical experiments, experiments related to children, experiments dealing with geophysics. I don't really have any priorities as regards the experiments. They're all very important and very necessary. Same question for Kevin, please.
Yeah, we have, I think, planned for 50 in the Russian segment that will go on during our expedition. So one of my goals as an American that's sometimes very difficult to do, but I'd like to be able to get down to the Russian segment and see some of the experiments that Oleg and Evgeny are conducting.
В соответствии с программой нашего полета, наша экспедиция запланирована порядка 50 экспериментов. И, конечно, я с нетерпением жду, что мне предоставится возможность поработать на борту российского сегмента, посмотреть, как мои члены экипажа выполняют эксперименты, возможно, поучаствовать.
Я надеюсь, что я получу приглашение. And then in the U.S. segment, we have a few hundred experiments going on at any time. Some of them are outside and need very little help from the crew. Some of the ones inside need very little support from the crew.
На борту американского сегмента у нас существует несколько сот экспериментов. Ряд из них выполняются за бортом международной станции, ряд из них в пределах космической станции. Ну и, соответственно, некоторые требуют участия экипажа, большого участия экипажа, некоторые нет.
All the experiments up there are chosen because they're very important and present great opportunities for humankind to learn about science, but I do have a few favorites.
Все эти эксперименты достаточно интересны, достаточно важны, потому что все связаны с исследованием человека. Что могу сказать, у меня нет любимых экспериментов, тех экспериментов, которые представлены для меня наибольший интерес.
For example, we have some burning and combustion experiments that I think are very important for future space flight, and also, of course, very fun for the crew to participate in.
Ну, например, что касается важных экспериментов, я могу отметить, что одним из экспериментов является исследование процессов горения в камере сгорания. Такие эксперименты требуют участия экипажа и очень важны для нас.
So, and then I also really like the fluid dynamics experiments that we're doing with some capillary flow action and stuff that will help with design of fuel tanks for spacecraft. And then probably one of the more interesting is that we'll fly up on Soyuz 32S with 32 fish on board, which Aki-san will be waiting to take from me as soon as we get on board. And we'll be doing a bone study with these 32 fish on board during the expedition. So that'll be interesting.
Также интерес представляет для меня эксперименты, связанные с динамикой жидкости. Таким образом, мы разрабатываем новые топливные баки для использования их в космосе. Также я хочу отметить, что мы летим на корабле «Союз-32С». На борту мы везем 32 рыбки, которые Аки-сан уже ждет на борту Международной космической станции. Проводя эксперименты с этими рыбками, мы будем изучать их костную систему и проводить исследования. Спасибо.
Stephanie's
Next question, please.
TV for Kevin Ford. You last flew to the International Space Station 3 years ago for a short duration flight. What are you looking forward to the most this time with an opportunity to spend a lot more time on board?
Вопрос к именно Форду от нас это вы. Крайний раз вы побывали на борту Международной космической станции 3 года назад. Сейчас, возвращаясь обратно, снова, каковы ваши ожидания, что вы хотите там увидеть и каковы ваши ощущения перед длительной экспедицией?
Well, without a doubt, it's the extra free time on a space shuttle flight. The dock time is very short, maybe on the order of 9 or 10 days, and the plan is very full from wake to sleep.
Конечно, прежде всего я ожидаю получить как можно больше свободного времени, потому что во время экспедиции на шаттле у нас было очень мало времени. Мы находились на борту станции порядка от 9 до 10 дней с момента стыковки. И у нас был очень насыщенный график работы.
Because of our launch time and the orbital dynamics on STS-128, we were never able to see North America, really any of the northern hemisphere, during daylight hours.
И в соответствии с датой старта, когда я стартовал на шаттле экспедиции СТС-128, у меня не было возможности увидеть из космоса Северную Америку.
So the opportunity presented with 5 months or so in orbit is to be able to see all corners of the Earth with some free time on weekends, and so I think that's my greatest expectation to experience that.
И сейчас, во время совершения 5-месячного полета, я с нетерпением жду увидеть с борта Международной космической станции все континенты земного шара, если у меня будет свободное время в выходные дни. Возможно, это самое великолепное ощущение, чего я жду с нетерпением. Спасибо. Еще вопросы, пожалуйста.
Thank you. More questions, please.
Флаг Родины Севастополь. Я поздравляю экипаж с полетом.
This is from Sevastopol. I'd like to congratulate the crew on their upcoming first flight and the first space record, because nobody has yet docked to the space station at the altitude that the space station is flying at right now. What would you say about this?
Я скажу, наверное, высокие ощущения.
I probably say that we have very high feelings indeed.
Чисто технически высота для нас никак не.
Technically speaking, this altitude doesn't really have any impact.
Здорово, что мы попадаем.
It's probably just the idea of, as you said, that we're going to break the record, but
Главное, чтобы все штатно было.
not much else. The main thing is that everything goes nominally, but the altitude doesn't really play a big part in this. That's really all that I have. Thank you.
Вопрос к дублирующему тоже.
A question for the backup crew.
Ваш экипаж пойдет нам тоже космический рекорд.
Your crew will probably also break a record. What did you say?
Ну, вы знаете, рекорды, ну, во-первых, это не рекорд, потому что мы давно летали по таким схемам быстрым, так называемым.
I think breaking records is something we've been used to throughout the era of space research and space flights. It is indeed probable that we'll follow the so-called quick schematic of docking, but again, there is nothing off-normal in it. The vehicle is fully controllable, and we'll see how it goes. And we'll be happy to follow any flight program, be it a 4-orbit or a 2-orbit, whichever. Again, questions for the backups. There's a question for Alexander. What did you learn during your preparation time? I mean, besides instructors talking to your crewmates, to other crew members. Well, I don't want to say too many things because lots of these people are present here. And I'm watching them, I'm observing them, and I'm taking and assuming what I think deemed necessary for me. But I'll try not to make them blush. So thank you for a question. I have one more question.
Не совсем стандартный. Вы будете 5 мужчин, из них 4 военных летчиков, под руководством...
Probably not very delicate question. There will be 5 of you, 5 men, 4 of whom have been military pilots, and will be under the commandment of 1 woman. So, what do you think about this? Do you have any doubts or feelings, any ideas about this, any thoughts? That's my first question. And the second question is, what are you going to do in your free time? Do you play any musical instruments? Do you have anything else in mind?
По поводу того, как мы вольемся в коллектив, мы уже влились, мы их давно знаем.
Well, as regards how we're going to make up the bigger 6-member crew, I think it'll be fine. We've known each other for a long time now.
Наш экипаж — это семья.
So it's more like our crew is our family. Father, big brother, younger brother.
Появится еще и мама.
And now we'll have a mother too.
По поводу того, как мы будем подчиняться командиру.
As regards our subordination,
Для нас, по крайней мере, нет разницы, женщина или...
I don't think there is any difference whether it's a female or a male.
Правильные команды.
The main thing is that we receive correct orders.
Олег, может.
I guess this is it. Oleg, do you have anything?
Да,
And then Kevin will replace Sunny
командир.
on board.
Папа, наш папа.
Our daddy.
Если я ответил на вопрос, то пожалуйста.
Да, и что в досуг, как планируете все?
And what about your free time?
Ну,
Our free time.
конечно, так как мы, я уже говорил, летим первый раз,
Since it's our first time in space,
досуг,
I think we'll be really busy
наш товарищ
as we are.
появляется только когда у тебя опыт появляется.
Because as our comrades say, you've got free time when you've got experience
То
and a time.
проведение досуга с землей.
I don't think we'll have major differences as to how we spend our free time here on Earth.
Немного играть.
Do you play any musical instruments? Yes, we do.
Есть, в конце концов, возможность поговорить с семьями.
We can talk to our families.
Возможности и, главное,
That's probably
потребностей.
the main thing and the main need that we'll have on board.
Конечно, готовы.
Because of course we're psychologically ready and prepared,
Даже что-то новое рассказать семье.
but sure we'd like to share our feelings, our impressions with our families, talk to our kids. I think this is it. What about the other crew members?
Well, I could just say almost the same thing Evgeny did in terms of free time. I might pick up the guitar once, and there's also a small keyboard on board, like an electronic piano, to have a little time on. Maybe.
Ну, я могу только присоединиться к словам, сказанным Евгением. Я тоже немного играю на гитаре. Также я собираюсь брать с собой на борт клавишный инструмент, небольшой пианино.
But I think for me that'll probably happen much later in the flight, because when I first arrive, I'll be more excited really about maybe taking some photographs of some places on Earth of personal interest to me.
Первый раз, когда я был на борту Международной космической станции, большую часть времени свободного, если оно у меня появлялось, я старался посвящать снимкам Земли из космоса.
And maybe just over the years, I've thought of a few personal experiments I would like to do. I took a little inspiration from Don Pettit, who you might remember, and I have a few things up there that I'd like to try in zero-G, but I'm going to have to save the announcement of those for after the flight, just in case they don't work out so well.
Я также возьму с собой некоторые результаты экспериментов, проведенные Доном Питтом, точнее, я продолжу его эксперименты, возможно, вы его помните. Вот, и также я хочу взять с собой ряд вещей, которые я хочу также испытать в невесомости.
Что касается меня, то свое свободное время, конечно,
As regards myself, my free time will be devoted to communicating with family and friends.
снимки тех мест,
I'll try to take pictures of those places where my friends and comrades live. That's probably it.
Максим Артем, Россия 24. Вопрос каждому члену основного экипажа. Показался ли вам...
Russia 24. A question to both crews. Did you think that the exam was more difficult than a usual simulation or training? And if yes, in what aspect? Well, an exam is an exam. And since it's an exam, it adds responsibility and its weight on the mind. As regards our preparation, of course, training and simulations allow us to be prepared to any situation that could potentially occur in reality. So it's all very useful and necessary. Again, I join Oleg in what he has just said. The main thing is that an exam would have a number of off-normal situations that we try to simulate. So, technically speaking, an exam is easier in that you know in advance there are going to be off-normal situations. So, than a regular simulation, but it's
And I would just add,
an exam.
Most of the simulations throughout the 2.5 years of training are really meant for the instructors to see how we perform and then correct us and teach us along the way. Whereas the examination is really a demonstration that we're ready to go to space. So you do feel a little bit extra pressure from that difference in philosophy.
На самом деле, на протяжении всех тренировок, проведенных в течение 2,5 лет нашей подготовки, мы демонстрировали инструкторам то, как мы можем работать, чему-то учились, давали им возможность чему-то нас научить. И, как правило, комплексный экзамен – это уже некая демонстрация того, тех навыков, которые мы приобрели с философской точки зрения.
Thank you very much. Well, so that's what the backup and the primary crews said about the exams. What can you say as an examiner yourself?
Ну, оценки, которые показал экипаж, хорошие, и это говорит о том, что
the results are positive, and this means that they understand that that's important. And what they said about the psychological constituent, that's true because it's an exam, and this is vital. But in real flight, it's even more important. And sometimes even the absence of abnormal situations can also be stressful because you know that something should happen, but nothing is happening. So this waiting can also be very strenuous. But I'm talking probably now not as an examiner, but as a human, as a crew member, as a cosmonaut who's flown a few times. So the skills that they acquire as to how to overcome stressful situations and strain is something that they will have to implement in real time. And of course, the real-time flight will not have as many off-normal situations as an exam has had. But they'll need to be able to focus, to concentrate. And this is something that was one of the main items during exam 2. Do you have any more questions? So let's finish this stressful press conference. And I'd like to say that now the crews are going to leave a few lines in the guest books. Then they will go and visit Red Square. They'll visit the Cosmonautics Museum. And on October 9th, they're flying out to the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Thank you very much, and have a good rest. Could you please join your hands? Like this? Yes. Ты 50 years since the first flight of the human being into space. We're ready to greet you here at our museum of space flight.
Единственный экипаж был, который не смог посетить вовремя, времени по времени не было, да? Экипаж Горбатко и Глазко.
The only crew that were unable to visit the museum prior to their flight was the crew of Gorbatko. And this is a tradition to visit our museum. This is the study of Yuri Gagarin, and this is more like a launch pad prior to the real launch. Adrian Nikolaev left the first line in our book. Here it is.
Книги, тот, в который пишут. Но так как у нас сегодня много первооткрывателей, да, мы решили показать и первый том, и второй.
Since we have so many people here, we wanted to show both book 1 and book 2. And this is this lady's first time too. She is working directly with crew for the first time in her life.
Take one more page.
Yeah, we have to.
Maybe we can read later.
27 марта оставил, когда был последний раз в своем кабинете. Все то, что он должен был сделать в этот день.
So this is like it was on March 9th in the study. He left everything as it is right now. Nothing changed since then.
Get the date.
Седьмой год, к сожалению, для космонавтики мировой и советской был горьким. Вы знаете, как говорят?
That year, unfortunately, was a bitter year for cosmonautics.
Достижение тех целей, которые человек перед собой ставит. А ушедшим нужна память.
We need to remember those who left, and we need to achieve the goals that were set in front of them.
К сожалению, в этом году горькое известие пришло о гибели Нейла Армстронга.
And unfortunately, this year we learned about Neil Armstrong's death, because everybody thought that everything will be fine after the operation.
И вот в подтверждение моих слов запись, которую он оставил в первом томе.
And please find the inscription he left in this volume 1. So this is in memory of this person, and I would like to wish all the best to you.
What's your?
Another backup crew, please.
Все, спасибо. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. Interns, please.
Володь, камера. Сейчас Пожалуйста, внимание. Внимание. Все, пожалуйста, внимание. Все, освободим. Здесь проезд. Да, пожалуйста.
В Кремле такие слова говорит.
Фотодыр надел. Внимание.
We are just exactly 4 weeks from launch day. We're planning to launch on the 23rd of October. And today, this morning, we started out with our state commission, which is the official certification of our flight. And always, all members, the State Department commission comes in and signs us off and clears us to go. So, very special day for us today. It's a big step on the journey. And then after that, we spent a little time in Star City. We visited a museum and signed some books and saw the library of Yuri Gagarin there. And then made the journey downtown here. We're in the Kremlin right now, right near Red Square. And we placed some flowers at the grave sites of Gagarin and Korolev to kind of pay our reverences to those who have gone before us. And of course, a big part of our history is those people, the early pioneers of our space flight. That's what allows us to continue the program on the International Space Station today. When I do that, I of course think of the people in the all over the world, and especially though in our U.S. space program, that laid the foundation for us to do what we're doing as well. So very, very significant for us. And after that, we just took a little tour around, got to see the Tsar's Bell and the cannon inside, and have just a little time inside the Kremlin. A very unique and exciting opportunity. So that's what we did today.
This tree was planted by Yuri Gagarin.
Just 2 days after the flight.